Don't forget, you can reach the latest episode of Potomac Watch anytime. Just ask your smart speaker, play the Opinion Potomac Watch podcast.
From the opinion pages of the Wall Street Journal, this is Potomac Watch.
Welcome back. Another place where the speech might have shed some light on current events, recent events, is on the matter of Ukraine. We are coming now only days after the White House Oval Office blow up in the meeting between President Trump and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Earlier this week, Zelensky issued a statement saying that he stands ready to work under President Trump's strong leadership to get a peace that lasts. Bill saying also that he's ready to sign this minerals deal that President Trump had advocated. So one of the things I was wondering going into the speech was which line Trump would take, whether he would double down on the aggressive stance of the Oval Office meeting or accept the conciliation offered there by President Zelensky. And this is a part of what he said.
Earlier today, I received an important letter from President Zelensky of Ukraine. The letter reads, Ukraine is ready to come to the negotiating table as soon as possible to bring lasting peace closer. Nobody wants peace more than the Ukrainians, he said. My team and I stand ready to work under President Trump's strong leadership to get a peace that lasts. We do really value how much America has done to help Ukraine maintain its sovereignty and independence. Regarding the agreement on minerals and security, Ukraine is ready to sign it at any time that is convenient for you. I appreciate that he sent this letter, just got it a little while ago. Simultaneously, we've had serious discussions with Russia and have received strong signals that they are ready for peace. Wouldn't that be beautiful?
And let's give one word here to the opposition. This is Michigan Democratic Senator Lisa Slotkin in her State of the Union response.
President Trump loves to say peace through strength. That's actually a line he stole from Ronald Reagan. But let me tell you, after the spectacle that just took place in the Oval Office last week, Reagan must be rolling in his grave. We all want an end to the war in Ukraine, but Reagan understood that true strength required America to combine our military and economic might with moral clarity. And that scene in the Oval Office wasn't just a bad episode of reality TV. It summed up Trump's whole approach to the world. He believes in cozying up to dictators like Vladimir Putin and kicking our friends like the Canadians in the teeth.
Bill, what's your read of this? I mean, I guess I thought that the tone there from Trump offered some hope for people who think that the U.S. does have some interest in this minerals deal and more military aid to Ukraine.
Yeah, I mean, I look at last Friday's blow up in the Oval Office between Vance, Trump, and Zelensky. And to me, you can argue forever whose fault it was and so forth. They all made valid points up to a point, right? But I think the important thing is not who was right and who was wrong. The important thing was getting the deal. Frankly, I expected the deal to be done before Zelensky left America last week. I thought he'd backtrack a little beforehand. If I were him, I would not have gone back to Ukraine without that deal. It's very important for Ukraine. So I'm glad to see it happen. You know, there's a line, I don't know if you've ever seen it, Kyle, but the movie Patton, and at one point, one of his aides comes up to him when he made some typically blustery statement and said, you know, General, the men don't always know when you're kidding and when you mean it. And Patton says, it's not important for them to know. It's only important for me to know. And I think Trump operates like that at some point. And I'm glad the deal seems to be back on. It's only a portion of questions that need to be decided, but it was going in a bad direction, the fallout from it, pause in aid and so forth. So I'm glad it was rectified. And you can see when Trump feels he's dissed, he's going to react back. But if you meet him halfway, he's usually willing to come and welcome you back on board in his good graces. Remember, J.D. Vance, the vice president, once likened him to Hitler. So I think that's worse than anything Zelensky did.
Let me jump in there. And I agree with Bill said there. I think where you had some real ambiguity, I mentioned the tariffs and the difference between the rhetoric last night and the seeming actions yesterday and today. And I think when Trump doesn't know exactly what he wants his policy to be, he throws out a lot of misdirection from day to day, just so no one else knows what he's going to do either. And we might have expected a full tilt against Zelensky last night based on, the previous few days. But what we heard is something entirely different. And yet today, the news is that the U.S. will cease intelligence sharing with Ukraine. So again, the difference between rhetoric and policy is somewhat by design, I think, and suggests that Trump is unsure of what direction he wants to go in from day to day.
But that kind of dovetails with the last thought that I was going to offer, which is the difficulty of operating in a party and as a leader of a party. If you're the leader in the Senate, Republican leader in the Senate, John Thune, or Speaker Mike Johnson, if you are not clear which direction the president of your party wants to go. And that, I think, would be my other criticism of this speech, is that by packing in so many promises, including many that voters have heard on the campaign trail, but that are maybe unrealistic or at least mutually contradictory, it leaves Republicans not on the same page necessarily. I mean, some of the things Trump was talking about was promising a balanced budget and tax-free tips and a new tax break for interest on car loans and taking control of the Panama Canal and inviting Greenland to join the United States. And Barton, if you are a rank-and-file Republican who is in the House and trying to figure out how to push forward the president's agenda through some kind of reconciliation bill, it sure would help if during this kind of joint address to Congress, the president would make clear how he thinks some of those trade-offs should be resolved when the GOP comes to actually setting the priorities that it's going to put forth in some kind of legislation.
I could not agree more. Yeah, I couldn't say it better. Misdirection is what you mainly get from Donald Trump, and he's never been an ideological conservative. He's very transactional. It's whatever seems advantageous at the moment. So that's just the reality that the Republicans have lived with and will live with for another 4 years.
Thank you, Barton and Bill. Thank you all for listening. You can email us your own speech reactions to pwpodcast@wsj.com. If you like the show, please hit that subscribe button. And we'll be back tomorrow with another edition of Potomac Watch.